Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we return to talking about the U.S. election, which is currently in full swing this month as we're about to vote at the end of October, beginning of November on the 3rd. Yes, the election's coming real soon and things have been heating up on both sides. Specifically, more and more information is coming out about Joe Biden, his son, and their scandalous activities that occurred during his tenure as vice president. You see, essentially, Joe Biden used his power as VP to get his son Hunter hired and paid handsomely during his tenure as VP. This resulted in Hunter getting hired by a company called BRIBING that was located in the Ukraine. And in addition, he also worked with China and also got a multi-million-dollar deposit from a billionaire in Russia. So lots of foreign powers involved here. Biden using his international influence to get his family wealthy. And that's what's being talked about today. More stories are coming out about that. We actually have proof from the BRIBING probe that the company admits to giving money to Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and bribing their family in order to get, attention and more stock and stuff for their country and company in the president and in the United States. So to start talking about that story, this first article says GOP-led committees release interim report on Hunter Biden BRIBING probe. Report says Obama administration ignored the glaring warning signs when Biden's son joined the board of the company. So this is obviously true. This is only the beginning. This is just showing that Obama administration run by Barack Obama. He was the leader at the time from 2008 to 2016. And yeah, he let this go on underneath him. His second in command was dealing with Ukraine. He used his power there to get his son hired at this company. He also dealt with this billionaire in Russia and people in China who gave his family money too. It's really sick, really disturbing abuse of power. And apparently Obama knew about it. This report shows that he knew it was going on. He knew it would be a risk. We've seen Obama kind of be worried about Biden before. He took a long time to endorse Biden, which is very interesting. And in addition, we've seen him say, don't underestimate Biden's incompetence. And I believe that's what's being shown here. The Senate Homeland Security and Finance Committees on Wednesday released an interim report on their months-long joint investigation into Hunter Biden's role on the board of Ukrainian natural gas firm BRIBING Holdings and his alleged extensive and complex financial transactions. Homeland Security Committee Chairman Ron Johnson and Finance Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley said their investigation has faced many obstacles from Democrats on their committees and their executive agencies failed to comply with document requests. So the Democrats are resisting. The Republicans are trying to investigate. They're trying to get the details out there because, as we know, there's a big connection here. The main gist was Obama put Joe Biden in charge of Ukraine. When he went to Ukraine, he threatened them. He said, "We won't give you aid unless you get rid of this prosecutor who was investigating his son, Hunter Biden." Hunter Biden was hired by this Ukrainian gas company out of nowhere. I mean, he had no experience in that field. He's not a top wanted executive. He's all of a sudden was making lots of money in this foreign country that his dad was in charge of. I mean, right there's enough suspicious stuff. It looks really bad. I don't know why more people aren't talking about this in the US press, but it gets worse. So now we know Obama knew there was a risk. He knew he was looking the other way, and that's what's kind of happening. The investigation doesn't seem to be going anywhere, but as we'll see in other articles and other documents, there was some proof that Burisma actually admitted to bribing the Biden. More on that later. The chairman added that there remains much work to be done in their probe. Hunter Biden is the son of Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. His work background played a starring role in the Trump impeachment efforts earlier this year. He and his father have denied any wrongdoing related to this work. An 87-page report stated that Obama administration officials knew that Hunter Biden's position on the board of Burisma was problematic and that it interfered in the efficient execution of policy with respect to Ukraine. This investigation has illustrated the extent to which officials within the Obama administration ignored the glaring warning signs when the vice president's son joined the board of a company owned by a corporate Ukrainian oligarch, the report's executive summary stated. Hunter Biden joined Burisma in April 2014 and at the time reportedly connected the firm with consulting firm Blue Star Strategies to help the natural gas company fight corruption charges in Ukraine. During the time Biden was on the board, the company's board, then President Joe Biden was running U.S.-Ukraine relations and policy for the Obama administration. Hunter Biden's work for Burisma received heightened scrutiny amid President Trump's impeachment last year. So this is more about when it came up first time during the impeachment, end of last year. This is the connections we mentioned earlier. Biden's in charge of U.S.-Ukraine relations. says he'll withhold our funding for the nation. We give them free money, basically. He held it over their heads to stop investigating his son. That way the company the son works for gets off. It's run by this oligarch. It's a big corrupt mech. It's a big kind of like scandal that I think is worth going over again, especially going into this election. I mean, what else is Joe Biden going to do if he becomes president? Like, who knows who he's going to get jobs for, who he's going to owe money to, who the U.S. is going to have to give favors back to. Like, this is a big thing. This is putting the Ukraine, giving them an edge over us, knowing that we have this corruption going on. And the Democrats are really doing it. They're making us look bad internationally, and they're looking bad themselves, electing and nominating this person, Joe Biden, to try and make him president is a total joke. Even though Hunter Biden's position on Burisma's board cast a shadow over the work of those advancing anti-corruption reforms in Ukraine, the committees are only aware of 2 individuals who raised concerns to their superiors. The Senate report stated, despite the efforts of these individuals, their concerns appear to have fallen on deaf ears. The report stated that State Department official George Kent, who testified during Trump's impeachment hearings last year, and Amos Hochstein, the former U.S. Special Envoy and Coordinator for International Energy Affairs, raised concerns to the former vice president's office. So this is more about bringing up the concerns before them getting ignored all the way back in 2014. 6 years ago is when this first popped up, and people were worried about it then. The Obamas knew this could come back to bite them. It put them at risk. It exposed the Democrats, and now it's coming back to bite the Bidens. And this isn't just like an October surprise. I mean, there was a new development that we're going to get to. Let's go ahead and jump to that. The next article says here, corporation admits in court they bribed U.S. Vice President Joseph Biden. There's a picture of Biden bribing Biden, as I would say. And let's see where this goes. It says, an utterly stunning development for U.S. politics. Burisma Gas Holdings Corp. of Ukraine admitted in court today they bribed U.S. Vice President Joseph Biden and his son Hunter. The only issue left is how much the bribes were. At present, Burisma disputes the claim that the bribe amounted to $900,000. There are indications the amount may be far greater. The ongoing case of Ukrainian gas holding company Burisma against People's Deputy of Ukraine, Andrea Durkak, has revealed that Burisma did in fact bribe Joe and Hunter Biden with large cash payments. The only question is how much. The Pershing District Court of Kiev indicated that representatives from Burisma are only refuting the amount of money the company paid to Joe and Hunter Biden. Burisma is not, and it is important to note, refuting that it did in fact pay these two some large sum of cash, which is still to be determined. On his Facebook page, Durkak explained that Burisma has now admitted that it bribed Joe Biden. As expected, Burisma lost. Durkak says that Burisma bribed Joe Biden with $900,000 lobbying lump sum. So we're clearly seeing more developments. They're not denying the payment was made. I believe the Democrats would deny that it was a bribe. They would say it was like a payoff or something like legitimate, but I just don't see how a company from Ukraine could be sending Joe Biden's family almost $1 million, and it has nothing to do with him in being in charge of U.S.-Ukraine relations. I mean, it's obviously something sketchy. We need to know where this money is, what happened to it, why they're getting it. It certainly seems like a bribe, and I think that's a big story. I don't know why more people aren't talking about this. I'm not sure if it's being exaggerated or the facts aren't all there yet, but to me, it seems pretty straightforward. It seems like, what we expected, and it goes along with other things we've discovered. Like this next bit says, during the first televised debate, which aired on television a few nights ago, President Trump dropped a massive hint when he asked Biden why his son took $3.5 million from the wife of the mayor of Moscow. It's starting to look as though Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden is running for president because it's the only way he can prevent being put in prison for accepting bribes while vice president. It will be interesting to see if the U.S. mass media covers this unprecedented story. And then there's an update that gets even more interesting and more kind of complicated. It says, as part of Ukraine's official police investigation, the embassy in Kiev has been working closely with Ukraine law enforcement. Certain embassy staff have reportedly spoken with or provided documents to Ukraine police. Well, an employee of the U.S. embassy in Kiev was murdered today. Authorities in Ukraine are investigating the killing of American embassy employee after an apparent assault. An unidentified employee of the U.S. embassy in Kiev, Ukraine, was found unconscious near the railroad on Tolbukin Street in Kiev. She was admitted to the hospital and later succumbed to her injuries, according to Ukrainian police. So now we have people at the U.S. embassy dying. This isn't a stretch for Democrats. They typically disappear people or make them suicide themselves or fake a robbery. This has happened with many people that oppose them. If you get too far down the rabbit hole, they're just going to take you out, especially if you're in a place that they can do it, if they could get away with it, if they could sneak into your jail cell or find you going down the street in the wrong neighborhood, find you outside of the United States in a more lawless country like like Ukraine, that's when they'll take you down. And I believe that person had evidence or had provided evidence or maybe could verify Joe Biden. You know, like Joe Biden very likely dealt with the U.S. embassy in Ukraine a lot. I'm sure he was like stationed there when he was working there and doing stuff. You know, he probably stayed there, worked there, had meetings there or something like that. So people from that embassy could know what's up. This person might have had evidence about this, could have confirmed or denied some things. And that's why they're trying to silence them. That's why the story just keeps going. It really has legs. And I'm just surprised that no one's talking about it in the mainstream media. This says breaking Biden bribe, Burisma admits payments to Joe. They're just not denying how much. And this is an article with just more details, more documents from the court and stuff like that. And essentially, you guys get the point. The Bidens are getting exposed more and more. It's not really a surprise, or it's like one of those kinds of fake allegations that comes out right before the election. This is really happening. People have known about it since 2014. The Bidens are corrupt. They're classic examples of Democrats getting rich in politics. They make money in politics by making shady deals, whereas conservatives make money outside of politics. They make money by, say, Trump was a big business leader for many years, and then he finally decided to take a break from his booming business to run the country. So Trump is actually the opposite of Biden. Trump is clean and not corrupt, and he's doing this to help the country out of the goodness of his heart. He could be making more money and working on other stuff, but instead he's being president. Biden, on the other hand, needs to be a politician to make money. His shady deals and the way he operates is how he gets his family rich, and he doesn't really care about helping the people. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed what you saw. Subscribe if you're new, and hit the bell for notifications too. Until next time, have a great day.